Good morning. It is good to see you this morning. Do you have things in your life that are your motivators that make sure you do certain things? I need a motivator in my physical training. I've had a few months here after Ironman Florida where I have been sort of on and off, and 2020 created that, and so I am searching for a motivator to get me pumped up and going and get me back on track to a successful training plan to get me in the shape that I need to be in, not only for this year but to help me to feel better. I was reading something last night. I was reading in another plan on Daniel, and I reading last night about the time that they set out to destroy Daniel, and they made a decree, had talked the king into making a decree that anybody that prayed or bowed to any other god except for the king would be put to death. And that was a time when Daniel prayed 3 times a day. And in that devotional, it asks the question, would we as Christians today be in any trouble if they made a decree where we couldn't pray? And you have to self-analyze yourself with those questions. Is my time with God, is it so important that I would put myself in danger to spend that time with God? And is my relationship with Him that important to my life? And I think we have to self-analyze each and every day. Good morning, Miss Linda. Good morning, Judy. I think we have to analyze our Christian walk each day. Is it really that important to us? So I hope that you think about that today. Our devotional today from the 365-day Daniel Plan book, it says, ultimately safe. And it goes right along with what I read last night. And I did not know that at the time. But it says, my God sent his angels, and he shut the mouth of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. And that's from Daniel 6:22. Daniel continued his habit of prayer to God even when prayer was outlawed. So the king of Persia had him thrown into the den of lions. God prevented the lions from killing Daniel in order to show the king that God really was God and Daniel was his innocent servant. God doesn't always shut the mouth of the lions. Sometimes bad situations happen to his loyal servants. But nothing can ultimately harm those who are faithful to him. We are safe from all enemies and even from death because God will raise us from the dead. Knowing this, we can face the lions with the same courage as Daniel. The psalmist says, my heart is glad and my tongue rejoice. My body also will rest secure. And that's in Psalm 16:9. How bold and confident will you be about your faith, knowing you are safe in his loving arms? Our food for thought today is, don't let fear get in the way. God always goes before you. Don't let fear get in the way. God always goes before you. And that is so true. That even God can spare us from harm, but even if he don't, ultimately God has control of our lives. And whether things happen to us or not, God is there with us to protect us and to watch over us. I think those are very important thoughts. And I think the thought of you and I need to analyze our Christian walk and see, is it as important to us as we say it is? Is it a priority? Is God's word a priority? Is knowing more about God a priority in our life? And do we want to know more about him? I mean, it all comes down to that. It's the same thing as with what I was talking about in my training. do I want it as much as what I say I do? Do I want that to be better? Do I want to be, I keep thinking this year I turned 60 years old, and I keep thinking, Lord, how can I get stronger? How can I get faster? How can I accomplish that? Well, I can't accomplish it in my recliner, and I keep thinking, I think all the time, God, how can I get closer to you? How can I have a closer walk with you? Well, I can't do that watching TV, and I can't do that by leaving my Bible and leaving God's Word shut up. We have so many different avenues today to read God's Word. I can choose to open up my Bible app instead of a Facebook app. I can choose to open up a Bible app instead of something else on my phone. I can choose to read, just to open my Bible and read God's Word, read a devotional, read something, read an inspirational book from one of God's writers. And so it's my choice. And if I really, really, really have that desire to be closer to God and know more about Him, then I have to open up His Word in some form or fashion and learn more about Him, to be closer to Him. I have to spend that time in prayer talking to Him and set aside some of the things, 5 or 10 minutes of a day, an extra 5 or 10 minutes, just to have time to talk to Him. I have to have things that remind me to say a little prayer throughout the day. I'll give you one thing that I use, and I've told this secret at church. But one thing that I use, where I work at, we see ambulances or police cars or stuff just about every day, and I use that sound of the siren or the lights to remind me that there's somebody that I need to pray for that day. That's my little motivator to remind me to pray throughout the day. And even when I'm doing something else, it's that reminder just to think in my mind of someone that I need to lift up to God, or anything that I need to lift up to God. It's that motivator to have communication with Him. I hope that this helps you. I mean, Daniel prayed 3 times a day on a schedule, and maybe we need a schedule, but whatever you need to motivate you to work on your Christian walk, to work on your relationship with God, use that today. You have a great Tuesday, and I will see you in the morning.